Before we start the show, I want to give you guys a reminder that the entries for the 5th annual Sleeper Wire Pro-Am are still available. We're still taking entries for a couple more weeks now. If you haven't heard of it, it's a large charity league with analysts, podcasters, and writers from around the fantasy industry, such as Justin Boone, Jake Seeley, Marcus Grant, Pat Fitzmaurice, Matt Harmon, Ryan McDowell, and more. We are keeping the entry fee the same as last year. It's $50 to get into a Pro-Am, $30 to get into a Sleeper Wire Listener League, or $75 for both. Go to sleeperwire.com/donate. After you've donated, take a screenshot of the confirmation and email it to sleeperwire@gmail.com. Include your name, email address, and Sleeper username, and we will get you on the list. We had 7 leagues last year. Let's make this year the biggest year yet.
For all today, through all the pain, all the way, the fight to one, to all, the light, the love, making it all the way,
Welcome everybody to the Sleeper Wire Show. We are counting down the weeks till the NFL season starts. I am your host, Professor Chris, and with me today, I am back with my bae, Prophet Hoos. What's going on, man?
Oh, what's up, Chris? Love to see you. It's good to be here, man. The football season around the corner.
Less than a month, man. Less than a month. And we also have Just a Girl, Fallon herself on the show. How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing great. I'm real excited that football season's around the corner. Watching Hard Knocks got me really into the football mood and believing that we will have a season. So I'm ready.
I'm doing excited too. Fallon, you're here. We got Chris here. We're doing a show. It's gonna be ranking stuff. It's gonna be fun, man.
Exactly. My first show with you, Hoos.
Yes. Yes, it's exciting times, guys. You're in for a treat.
Well, let's go ahead and get into this show. We're going to spend a little bit of time talking about some news. We got some stuff that's happened in the last few days we're going to bring up. And then in this episode, we're talking about running back rankings. So we're going to go through our top 12 running backs. We have the consensus between the three of us, and then we'll also talk about, where we differ on different players once we get there. But let's go ahead and kick off the news here. George Kittle got himself a payday, 5-year, $75 million contract extension. More than 50% of it is guaranteed, a $25 million signing bonus. Huge, huge, huge for this guy getting his money. Hoos, do you think this was deserved?
I mean, come on. This is the best, well, not the best, obviously Travis Kelce, still give that man his title, Super Bowl champ, but yeah, definitely well deserved. Kelce, I'm sure you're going to talk about it. He got some money as well, possibly getting some money. This is good for the rest of the tight ends. I mean, Hooper kind of broke the mold, I want to say, with getting over $12 million. You never see tight ends get this kind of money. This is wide receiver money. So, I mean, yeah, Kittle, these guys are not tight ends anymore. They're blockers. They do so much. They're big, big, big weapons on the field. Kudos to this guy, man. He should get paid. That's, hats off to that guy, man. I mean, it's some sort of consolation prize, right? He didn't get to win a Super Bowl this year.
This is what Jimmy Graham was wanting 8 years ago.
Yes, totally. He was just ahead of his time. Too bad, because Jimmy Graham, man, those times are over of being stellar, obviously, but yeah.
You brought up Travis Kelce, also signed a 4-year extension, $57.25 million, got himself paid as well. So he's looking like he's going to be in Kansas City for the remainder of his career, which is good for fantasy. That's where we want him. We want him right next to Pat Mahomes. Alvin Kamara told reporters that last year he tore his knee in week 6. He never had surgery, no offseason surgery either, just lots of rehab. He says he's 100%, but I will say, I am not surprised that news came out that Kamara was injured based on how he performed. What about you?
I'm not surprised, just because he just blew us away 2 years ago, and it was like, what happened to him. I didn't think he was going to be a 1-year wonder, but it was a little disappointing. So in a way, I'm glad he came out with this and that he's been able to rehab his knee. And I'm real excited for him this year.
Yeah, I mean, definitely speaks towards the injury. I mean, well, not the injury. I mean, his lackluster. I mean, we're saying lackluster. A guy was still a top 12 back, right? I mean, but he was not the guy we drafted. We're hoping that he is this year. This definitely gives me a little bit of heebie-jeebies on this guy. I'm a little scared about him hearing this news, and he didn't get the surgery. I want my guys to get mended, get well, not have something pop up later. He's going to get a good amount of touches. I mean, this is a guy that should get a healthy amount of touches. I want more Lat Murray, and I want more. Oh no, Devin Zigbo is not there anymore. I want at this point, I want Montgomery. Like that's disgusting to say, but this is not the news that you feel good about as a dynasty owner about Alvin Kamara. I really wish he would have got it cleaned up or something. Obviously, probably would have been ready for the season, but I would much rather have him for the playoff stretch rather than obviously being worried about him all season. So a little worried.
And I want to clarify that Hoos means Ty Montgomery, not David Montgomery.
Yes. Ty Montgomery.
Yeah, I mean, Kamara still finished as the RB9 in PPR, but it wasn't what you were expecting based on where you drafted him. He didn't quite look the same. But hopefully he is 100%. He's obviously ranked high once again, and we will talk about that once we get to the rankings. A little bit of hype here. Kyler Murray thinks that Hopkins, Fitzgerald, and Christian Kirk could all have over 1,000 receiving yards. I mean, it's possible.
Well, anything's possible.
I mean, it's possible. I mean, anything possible. Give me that loud Kevin Garnett yell from when he won a championship. Anything is possible, sure. I mean, they're expected to. I mean, David Johnson's not there anymore, so he saw a lot of targets. I'm not as high on Kenyon Drake. I'll get into that later. Still have him as I'll get into that later. But yeah, I could see it as far as the targets getting spread out more to the receivers. The quarterback, I'm sorry, not the quarterback. The coach loves to throw a ton, run a ton of plays, 70 plays a game, as they once said last year. I don't know if we'll see that much, but yeah, these guys want to play. These guys want to play a lot. I would not be too surprised. But yeah, for Larry Fitz, that definitely raises your eye a little bit and puts him on your radar in redrafts.
I wrote that article about 5 last round fantasy flyers, and I had Larry Fitzgerald in there.
Nice. That was a good one.
Lamar Miller signed a 1-year deal with the Patriots. I mean, good for him. I like Lamar Miller. I mean, right. he got a little bit of money. I don't like the landing spot. I don't like any Patriots in general, but
it's great. I mean, it's
good for him.
It's a typical Patriots signing, is it not? I mean,
no, it totally is.
They got Cam, they got Lamar Miller. I think they're going to get Devonta Freeman too. I really do. I think they're going to get Devonta Freeman, and then everyone that's saying, "Oh my God, are we really excited about Lamar Miller?" All of a sudden, people are going to be saying, "Oh my God, it's so unfair. They got Freeman, they got Lamar Miller, Pro Bowler, and that other guy." And then all of a sudden, people will be clamoring around these guys. Yeah, I mean, obviously, look at Damian Harris. He's going to drop down in some drafts and make him a value. Sony Michel might also be a value too. Later, obviously, they said he might start on the pup, but they did come out and say that Lamar Miller's starting on the pup. So obviously, these guys could get activated at any point. But that's not good news for people who were clamoring over Lamar Miller. Like I told people before he actually signed to the Patriots, go ahead and pick up Lamar Miller. He's obviously going to latch onto a team, and 3 days later, boom, profits strikes again. Well, obviously, he was going to get signed. I didn't say the Patriots, so I can't say it was too prophetic.
I'm really interested to see what happens this year at the Patriots. This is a trial, I believe, of can Bill do it without Brady? Can Brady do it without Bill? And we're going to see. We're going to see what's going to happen. I do have a lot of respect for Bill.
For sure.
As a coach, I just don't think that the Patriots will come in this year as the threats they once were without Brady.
You think?
Not saying I love the Patriots, we know that I don't. I'm just saying that, I actually kind of have to respect Bill because he's got some great strategies.
Guy's a brilliant man. You think they're going to tank Fallon?
I don't think they're going to tank. I think they're going to be mediocre. They're not going to be the one that everyone's afraid of like we used to be. I think Miami is going to surprise this year, and I'm real excited to see what Miami does. And
I didn't know we had Georgia on the show.
Yeah, I'm not even a big Miami fan. I'm not. I just think that they're going to surprise. And the thing is, Miami does have the Patriots number, even when Miami had the worst record. The Patriots at the top number, but then we got Buffalo too. I don't know. It's going to be fun to watch what happens in that division this year.
It's going to be an interesting year for sure.
Yeah.
Josh Jacobs set a personal goal to catch at least 60 passes. It's good if you have him in a dynasty. We'll see if that actually happens with Derek Carr as his quarterback. And last bit of news, Will Dissly is back at practice, probably in a limited fashion, but I mean, that's very recent after that ACL tear, so good for him. All right, let's move into really what we want to talk about on the show, breaking down our top 12 running back rankings. So the three of us each ranked our top 25 separately, and then I threw together a top 12 consensus based on that. And really, the first six are, for the most part, everybody's first six. I don't think you'll find any surprises. No one's going to be shocked that we have Christian McCaffrey number one. I mean, the number one PPR option or PPR scoring player in fantasy football, even more so than Lamar Jackson in PPR last season. By far, 29.5 points per game in PPR. That's insane. Saquon Barkley at number 2 and Ezekiel Elliott at number 3. Guys, do we really need to talk about these players, or can we?
I think people know who they are. I think people may know them.
I mean, the consensus drafts is what I'm seeing is sometimes I'll see Barkley first, but usually I'm seeing McCaffrey first, and those two are switched, and almost always seeing Zeke third. So I think everybody's kind of on task with that one.
You can make arguments for any of these three guys to go
interchangeable. You
number
can
one,
interchange them, yeah, and argue, and it's not much of an argument there. So yeah, I don't think we have to spend too much time on these guys.
No. The next one, Alvin Kamara, is our number 4, which is pretty in line with the consensus. Apparently, I did not know that Hoos likes Ty Montgomery more than Alvin Kamara. Fresh little bit of
guys,
news,
right? I love those obscure guys.
Dalvin Cook at 5 and Derrick Henry at 6. I think we were all very, very close to having those exact same ones. But let's get into some of the ones where we actually differ. Our consensus ranking number 7 is Austin Eckler. And that is all because of Hoos. I've got Eckler at 14. Fallon has him at 7. Hoos, you have Austin Eckler at 4. So justify that.
Well, first off, I want to say I'm proud of you, Fallon, for having him sort of high, I guess. That's appropriate. I mean, I just look at Austin Eckler as Austin Eckler. I mean, if anyone listens to the show 2-3 years ago, or just when Austin Eckler blast on the scene, I think I can recall our first conversation, Chris, about Austin Eckler, and just, I was saying, oh, this guy, Austin Eckler, you're like, who? And I'm like, yeah, this guy's going to get a bunch of touches. And he was like my Chris Thompson. And now there's no Melvin Gordon. Are you kidding me? Like, the guy was a stud last year. And I mean, there's no one with have you seen photos of this guy in the offseason? I mean, that alone, I mean, I want to put the lotion and oil on him myself, just to make him appear even sexier and beastier. Because, I mean, I have him number 4. And honestly, I wanted to put him above Zeke, but it felt a little too spicy. It felt a little too hot. So I removed him, from, my heat area of the top 3, and I placed him at 4. It felt very appropriate. But yeah, I'm a little down on myself. I don't have him higher. But yeah, Austin Eckler, he's just a beast of a back in a PPR league. He's going to lead pretty much all running backs in targets, I believe. He's got Tyrod Taylor there, who's going to dump off there. If it's not the running back, it's the tight end that Tyrod prefers there. So I think that's going to be an easy. I think he's easily leads the not lead, but he's going to be right behind Christian McCaffrey again, behind targets and probably as far as catches and yards per catch as well. So, I mean, he's just that stellar. The fact that we're not talking about him in the same breath as in Christian McCaffrey, to me, is kind of, I don't know. I find it disrespectful at this point. I mean, just look at the man. He's a monster. He's my number 4. I mean, it speaks for itself.
Last season he did finish as the RB4 in PPR and was RB6 in PPR points per game. He did so only despite just having 34.8 rushing yards per game. This year, I really like him because, as you mentioned, there's Tyrod and Hubert. We have new quarterbacks and we have no off season. We got to see a preview of it all in Hard Knocks, but once he knows the system, he knows the routes, and he's good. So that's why I have him higher than Chris does. I wouldn't say he's at a Zeke level. No. And I like my Derrick Henry over him, but and Dalvin Cook, but I don't think you can go wrong with him.
For fantasy, I just think that he's arguably can outproduce Zeke. You look at Tony Pollard, who's going to be catching passes. I mean, there's got Justin Jackson there and Joshua Kelly, who you talked about and you alluded about rookies and how we don't think they're going to get as many touches. Austin Eckler is just going to see a ton of touches. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets up there with Christian McCaffrey as far as touches overall. So yeah, I absolutely love the guy. I could spend the whole show on this. So Chris, you might have to mosey us along.
Well, I don't get why you guys are praising the fact that he's going to get all these targets from Tyrod Taylor, who has never had, he's had more than 3,000 passing yards twice in his career. The other full season that he played, it was 2,799. It's not like he is some passing down quarterback or passing quarterback to begin with. He's a running quarterback, doesn't throw the ball very often, only career high 20 passing touchdowns. That was back in 2015 in Buffalo. He's this is his age 30 season. I'm not saying Eckler's going to be bad. I moved him up in my rankings from 18 to 14, but I don't think he's going to get nearly the amount of work that you think he's going to get. The rushing work isn't really going to go to Austin Eckler. It's going to be another year of Justin Jackson in the system and then Joshua Kelly. If you look at Austin Eckler last year, really after Melvin Gordon came back, he only had double-digit carries once. And I know, like PPR, it's the catches that matter, which is absolutely true. But he's not going to be getting an insane amount of touches. He's not going to be getting an insane amount of rushing attempts.
Well, the thing with Austin Eckler, he's a wide receiver and he's a running back. So
right, and you need a quarterback who is like Phillip Rivers, who has a history of throwing to the running back, not Tyrod Taylor, who is a running quarterback who doesn't have much of a passing history at all.
He does with short area targets. So if you look at Tyrod Taylor's status back when he was with the Bills, he targeted who was Clay, the tight end Clay. That short area. I mean, he targets that short area a ton. He's going to be targeting it. That's another reason why I'm higher on Hunter Henry, but he's going to be right in that area. He's going to be targeting the slot a ton. And I just feel like, I mean, in a new system, Austin Eckler is just a guy that you could trust. He's going to be a nice security blanket and he's lightning in the bottle. So, I mean, you throw the ball to him and just watch him go. And obviously he's going to get some rushing work as well. I do believe he's going to split some time, obviously, with Justin Jackson and Joshua Kelly. But again, he's a more trusted option. And you did see him get some goal line work again last year as well. So that's always nice to see when you see you're back there.
So when it comes to Austin Eckler's ADP, which I am verifying right now, and it's 12-team PPR, Eckler is going at the 205. Does that feel about right? Or is that too late?
I feel like that's a value for him based off of what he's going to possibly provide for you. I mean, you got a lot of guys taking Clyde Edwards-Helaire in the first round. I just think that Austin Eckler is pretty much that same kind of a back. No, he's not tied to a Patrick Mahomes, but he is tied to offense where they like to dump it off at the running back. That hasn't changed. And I just think that, it's going to be a safe security blanket for Tyrod Taylor and obviously for Justin Herbert as well. If he does take over, that guy's got some nice balls, and I think he's gonna dump them off nicely to Austin Eckler.
But was it an offense that likes to dump it off to the running back, or was it Phillip Rivers that likes to dump it off to the running back?
I think it's a little bit of both. I don't think you're going to see Nyheim Hines become Austin Eckler. So if we wanted to just tie it strictly to that, sure, Nyheim Hines should be drafted a ton of more. But that's, it's obviously a little bit of both. The coach is obviously going to, a good coach is going to work around his offensive pieces and what his quarterback does well. And obviously he's going to do that with Tyrod Taylor again. And if I think we're going to see Justin Herbert on the field at some point anyway. So that might change.
Yeah. And then you have a rookie.
Right. You do have a rookie who we don't know what he's going to do this early into the offseason. COVID. I mean, at this point, you got to have, I don't know, the backup to the backup. I don't know if they pick up Troymaine Pope again or something like that. He's a guy that I was actually liking as a gadget player too, as a backup to Austin Eckler. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, you just got to be ready for this. This season's going to be wild.
Well, let's go ahead and move on. Our consensus running back 8, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I've got him at 10. Hoos, you have him at 8. Fallon, you have him at 11. So generally, we were pretty close on this guy. We all have him ranked as an RB1, which I think is appropriate, and so does the rest of the fantasy world. I mean, best offense in the league, best quarterback in the league. What can we really say else about this guy? I mean, obviously, we haven't seen him play an NFL game yet, but the dude's going to be a stud. Andy Reid always has a workhorse running back 1. Not much else we can say about him, right?
Yeah, I think back to Hunt's rookie year and like how he exploded. I mean, you really got to appreciate Reid's coaching and how he worked with the running back. So, and rushing production has a lot more to do with the scheme and blocking than it does the actual runner. And Reid's scheme is like second to none. Though I will say on the downside, he's only 5'7", and I remember all the hate on Lindsey for him being a small guy. So he's smaller than your typical back. I don't know if he'll be able to perform as the workhorse.
Of course, the Broncos fan remembers everything anyone's ever said about Phillip Lindsay.
Not only that, because I have a crush on Lindsay.
So I didn't mean to cut you off in there. I felt like I had to throw that out there first, because like everybody who's listening is going to be like, why the hell is she bringing up Phillip Lindsay right now?
Well, most people who know me know how much I love Phillip Lindsay.
It's comparable. It's comparable.
But
it
they're
wasn't
still smaller. But the difference, though, here is that CEH has Mahomes, where Lindsay has had a string of quarterbacks. So I think barring injury or something completely unforeseen, there's no way that he's going to finish above, McCaffrey or Barkley or Elliott or Cook or Henry, or even Eckler, just for you. But, he has a chance to make the top 10. I mean, it's 2020. We don't know what's going to happen.
This would have been a great show to have Jake Seeley on. You were on with him earlier this offseason, right? It was me, you, and Jake? Is that right?
I think that had Mike on there. I think I missed that
must
one.
have been.
Yeah, I think that Mike was on that one.
We were talking about way too early running back rankings. I forget when we had Jake on. That might have been
like
March?
in March. Yeah, that was
a long time ago.
That was pre-COVID, like Kurt Mania.
No, but it was post NFL draft. I remember that. So it must have been May when we had it.
It was May then.
Because he had He was saying Clyde Edwards-Helaire he had at his 106 in his rankings. So I really think this would have been a good show to have him on to see where he has. If he was drafting him at the 106 in May, where's he going now?
He's taking him in the first round.
Oh,
more
yeah,
than
for
likely
sure.
in the somewhere. I want to say around about 108 or so. I want to say after Cook. I want to say but now I'm curious to see what his rankings look like. But
Yeah.
we'll
have to check the Athletic for that.
Yeah, as we're talking about ours. But yeah, I mean, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. You go back to Hunt, and I don't think that Hunt was as talented as a pass catcher as Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I think Kareem Hunt's an overall better back. Meaning you can run the ball, pass catch. He's like a Frank Gore. Kareem Hunt. No disrespect to Frank Gore, obviously. He's a legend, but Kareem Hunt is. I think he could be a legend too at some point in this game, if health, doesn't get in his way. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is not the same kind of back. He's not. But what's going to put him up there in that top 10 is that pass catching ability, and if he's just able to get into open space and just hit these home runs like Kareem Hunt did. So that's what we're excited about with Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Will he split some time? A little, sure. He's not going to split much, though. I think the most he'll cede some touches to Darrell Thompson, DeAndre Washington, obviously, before he was let go from, well, not let go, before he spent the rest of his time at Oakland. He had 3 really good games towards the end of the season. Now, Josh Jacobs obviously wasn't there, but he looked really, really good those 3 end of the games. I think he had posted like 21 points, 18, and I think another 21-pointer towards the end of the season. So he's capable of doing it, of being that Damian Williams kind of a back, and you can get him for next to nothing. All of these guys, no one's talking about these backups, which is ridiculous because they're free at this point. You should definitely be taking flyers on these guys, but man, Clyde Edwards-Helaire does have the opportunity to end up as a top 3 back, just based off of what Kareem Hunt did as a rookie when he was there by himself. And this Patrick Mahomes is, I think, a little bit more dynamic. He's going to be fresher this year, so I think he's believe it or not, even though he won a Super Bowl, I think he still has a chip on his shoulder based off of just not being able to play a full season. So he's going to come out hot, and I would not be surprised if Clyde Edwards-Helaire finishes this in the top 3.
Let's move on to number 9. Joe Mixon comes in at number 9 on our consensus rankings. That might be due to me. I've got him at 7, Hoos at 10, Fallon at 14, which is way too low, in my opinion. I mean, Mixon was really, really good last year after a certain point. I mean, like there were times when on the Sunday Blitz, it was, do I bench Joe Mixon? And for the first few weeks, it was, no, you do not bench Joe Mixon. And then we were getting questions we were throwing out there, like on the Thursday show, like, can you drop Joe Mixon?
And there was no.
And you said no, but there were some people were saying yes.
No, there were. I remember.
Yeah, it depends on your team. Yes.
Yeah, depending on what you need, right? Depending on who's out there, right? Last season was crazy for Joe Mixon. I was definitely one of the ones. I'm always just an advocate. When a stud is doing terrible, give me him because he's a stud. And more than likely, the season just didn't, the beginning of the season didn't bode well for him. So that's all that was for Joe Mixon. So the funny thing is, I'm tweeting out, go trade for Joe Mixon. And I got fantasy professionals talking about, like, are you serious? Like, trade for Joe Mixon. What are you going to pay for him? Nothing. Go get him. And like, no, I'm not trading for Joe Mixon. And look, a couple of weeks later, boom. So you can't just be so down on guys when they're doing bad, especially studs. Don't give up on these guys. And if somebody wants to give up on them, maybe dog them a little bit in your league, and then secretly while you're crushing on them, offer a third rounder and like something else nice, and hopefully get somebody to smash on that guy. So yeah, I mean, hopefully you get Lamar Miller coming out there dominating the first couple of weeks, and Joe Mixon's just doing terrible. And you're like, hey man, I'll give you Lamar Miller.
If you can flip Lamar Miller for Joe Mixon,
People are desperate out there, man. You go 0-4, you
Yeah.
got to question a lot of things. You know what I'm saying? So no, I'm not advocating you go trade, Mixon for Lamar Miller, but I'm just saying there's some scared people out there, and no matter who the player is, make sure you're going out there and capitalizing on guys people are giving up on.
Yeah, Mixon from week 8 on was awesome. He had a very, very rough start to the season, but I'm looking at Fantasy Pros from week 8 through week 17. Joe Mixon was the running back 6, and that was on a terrible Bengals team that started Ryan Finley for a game or two, benched Andy Dalton, that had a bad offensive line, really just bad offense in general. And AJ Green never got on the field, so it was really Joe Mixon with a terrible offensive line and Tyler Boyd. I mean, we had a game of Auden Tate.
A few games of John Ross.
A few games of John Ross to start the season. But now the Bengals offense looks to be completely healthy. They did upgrade that offensive line a little bit, and they've got a quarterback who's coming off the greatest season in college football history. I don't see how Mixon can't be top 10.
Yeah, I mean, I have him right where he should be.
So Fallon, explain yourself. That's why.
Right, there you go.
All right. First of all, you guys got to redefine stud, because to me, he's not stud.
Oh.
RB6 over the second half.
Yeah, it's half a season, bud.
Oh, okay. All right.
So,
We'll give it to us.
So we do have Mixon is the definite starter on what is or should be an improved team. I would say that, he's a top 20 running back with him. I mean, no one's afraid of Bernard, and you won't steal any of the passing game from him. The Bengals are going to look completely different this year than last year with new quarterback and whatnot. Though, and yes, he has rushed for over 1,000 yards the last 2 years that he's played, or is it 3? I'm not sure, but I know the last 2 has been over 1,000 yards. Yet still, I'm not a believer. And I gotta say, more than anything, his ceiling could be high as a pretty low floor, because that team, a lot of this is women's intuition. And a lot of times my gut is just right, and I just don't like Mixon. I don't have him anywhere, and I won't have him anywhere.
I mean, he's had over 1,100 yards for 2 straight years.
Right.
Last year he had, 2018, 237 carries and 43 receptions. So that's now I got to do math. 280 touches, and then last season over 300 touches. I mean, the dude gets the ball. He gets the work. I feel like he is a lock to get you well over 1,000 yards. And this year, I think he breaks that 50 reception mark with Joe Burrow.
And he only had 5 touchdowns on the ground. So you expect that to go up a bit.
Exactly. Yeah, because the Bengals are going to have the ball more.
The offense sucked.
They're going to move it down the field more.
Well, it depends. I mean, I guess in a way we're hoping that the Bengals are going to improve like we thought the Browns would. But I don't know. They, and unfortunately though, they don't, their strength of schedule also leads to concern.
That's true. I agree with you there. I definitely agree with you on the strength of schedule.
There's a lot of variables on there that I just don't like him. Yes, both of you make good points on why he's great. I will say he's top 20. I'm not going to say he's top 10. And sometimes you got to say, I just don't feel it. And this one, I don't feel.
Strength of schedule means exactly nothing to me in August. I mean, last year we thought the 49ers were going to have a bottom 5 defense.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, that's fair to say. Yeah, no one thought they were going to come out to be what they were overall as a team. But they did have a lot of guys that were injured the previous season.
Right, but that's what strength of schedule is built on.
Right, this is true. I mean, it obviously means very little after week 4, you can start to kind of pay attention to it.
Exactly.
So that's when it kind of like, oh, this team actually is really good on defense. And you start to get scared and you start to game plan for those for those teams, obviously. I think he's going to be okay. Obviously, the touchdowns is where I think that he's going to see a boost in. I think he's still going to hover around 1,100 yards. He's going to get the ball enough. And yeah, I see him catching the ball about 50 times. So that alone puts him in wide receiver, RB1 territory.
Yeah, definitely. For where he's going right now, let me, I just had that. I got way too many tabs up on my screen.
It's football season.
It is. Season. I mean, he's going at the 111. So you do have to spend a first round pick on the guy. But I mean, that's appropriate to me. I think that's absolutely fine. You're getting an RB1. Let's go ahead and move on. Our number 10 consensus running back, Josh Jacobs. I've got him at 8. Hoos, you and Fallon are a little bit lower. Hoos has him at 13. Fallon has him at 12. I just think Jacobs is actually going to get receiving work. They've talked about wanting him to get the ball more, wanting to throw it to him more. He just came out and said he wants at least 60 receptions. If he gets that, he could be top 5 for sure. But Josh Jacobs, definitely going to take a step up this season. I feel like people are kind of overlooking him for some reason. Fallon, how do you feel about Jacobs?
Well, all right. I will admit there is a slight bias being a Bronco fan, but I do like him. He's actually one of the only Raiders I really do like. And the concern I have more is not him, it's Derek Carr. But I think he has a chance to be a breakout candidate this year. I do think he might be worth drafting at the end of the first round, early second round-ish, maybe. He had a solid rookie season, I'll admit that. And I believe he's going to only do better than worse. I just don't.
that was elegant.
Well, I almost said the regression word, and I meant to say positive regression instead of negative. But I had a glass of wine, and that didn't come to mind at the moment. But anyways,
that was almost a Julian moment for those.
Do better than Julian. Worse.
I think he could be a breakout candidate. I would own him. I would even consider maybe drafting him if I was, picking in the 12th spot or maybe 2.1. I don't know. Don't hate him. I can't love him because he's a Raiders, but I think he can have a great year.
Yeah, I'm not upset with having him in your top 10. What I'm really worried about, though, is the fact that Jalen Richard is still there. Jalen Richard is still there. They brought in Lynn Bowden Jr. So it's nice that he wants to get these 60 targets, but I think the Raiders want to play, meaning I think they want to make the playoffs. I think they think they're a good enough team to make some noise. And I don't. I know it's a little funny, but I think that they want to keep this guy fresh. I don't think that they're going to give him a ton of work. I think that they're going to give him just enough to make him top 15. But Jalen Richard is there, man. Jalen Richard is going to get targets. He's not going to get 60 receptions. He's just not. Does he get 40? Sure. Does he get close to 50? I don't know. I see maybe about 45 receptions for them. 60 is very lofty. I don't think he's going to get it just based off the Jalen Richard's there. And they got Lynn Bowden Jr., who I like a lot. They're going to use that guy all over the field. They're going to use him as a receiver. They're going to use him as a running back. They're going to use him as a quarterback. So that guy is going to steal touches from everyone, including Josh Jacobs. So I love Josh Jacobs. Obviously, he broke out a little bit as a rookie. But no, I can't have him in my top 10 just off of, not my top 12, I want to say. just based off of opportunity. I think he's going to lose a little bit of opportunity, but I do love the talent.
Now, Lynn Bowden is someone who's not getting enough hype. And I think you would agree with that.
Yeah,
I mean,
100%.
he can be for the Raiders what Antonio Gibson will be for the Washington.
Yeah, I agree with that wholeheartedly. I think, speaking of Antonio Gibson, I mean, that Chris Thompson, he was top 10 in targets last season.
Get him out of your mouth.
Yeah, I'm saying the targets were there. Though that's a big vacancy in targets. Antonio Gibson is going to see that as well. So that's why I look at Jalen Richard, Jalen Richard and Lynn Bowden. Those guys are going to steal targets from him because, just as you alluded to, those are those type of players that's going to be lined up all over the field and are going to steal targets away from Josh Jacobs. So I love him on the ground. I think he could possibly push the rest of those guys for rushing leader. But I don't think he sees it in targets in the PPR. I don't think he's going to get there. And the standard, sure. I love him in the standard.
Longtime listeners of the show know that Hoos keeps a picture of Chris Thompson in his underwear.
Yes. Yeah, well, it used to be on my ceiling, and then that became too embarrassing for guests when I was showing them, the master bedroom. When you show them the whole master house, they're like, "Dude, you got a picture?" I'm like, "Yeah,
Who's is like, and this is where the magic happens. Lay in the bed, lay down in the bed, and look up, and you'll see what I'm talking about. And they're like, "Dude, why are you being so creepy?"
Yeah.
There's another variable I wanted to bring up about Jacobs that I'm not sure that has been considered. Is that the bye week for the Raiders is is 8. They're right in the middle. And if they're not winning by the time of the bye week, I can totally see Gruden swapping quarterbacks and going to Mariota. And then now we got a new quarterback and a whole new scheme. I really don't trust the Raiders right now, and that's unfortunate for Jacob. So that's just something else I want to throw in there that, we got that going on.
Yeah, I don't know how you can make the argument for Eckler that a new quarterback doesn't matter and then use that argument against Jacobs, though. Let's move on here, though. Number 11, we have Miles Sanders. I've got him at 12, so I'm pretty close there. Hoos at 15, Fallon at 8. And we need to kind of start wrapping up a little bit, so I don't want to spend as much time on him as we did on Eckler, because we still got one more player to get to. Hoos, why a little low on Sanders?
So I love Miles Sanders. I just think that the coach does not use a workhorse back. Doug Peterson he loves timeshares. He just loves them. He has a picture of timeshares on his ceiling, and it's like, timeshare, I love you. Keep my backs fresh. And he loves Boston Scott just as I do. And I think that they're going to bring in another back. Might be Devonta Freeman. And if that happens, I won't move Sanders. I won't move him. I think that he still will be. I have him projected at 15 for that reason. I think that they're going to give him about 18 touches a game. I think a lot of people anticipating that he gets more, like a lot more. And I just don't see that for him. I mean, Boston Scott, they're going to use the guy a good bit. And Doug Peterson, like I said, he's got the timeshares right across on his bedside. So he's giving it the googly eyes. He loves it. So, I mean, he likes his backs fresh. So fresh and so clean. That's why.
No, I actually have to disagree with you on that. I think the reason why that Peterson likes his committee so much is because he's never had a
come on.
back.
That's not fair.
Jordan Howard, okay.
Jordan Howard's good.
Boston Scott, no. And I think that Miles Sanders will come in and be that 3-down back and will change things because they haven't had this type of talent there. That's why I have him ranked higher than anybody else does.
It just feels too arbitrary. Like he hasn't done the work. Why are we placing him so high where this is his ceiling? You're placing him where he absolutely can finish. He can't finish higher than an RB8. Like he's capable of finishing RB5, guys. Really?
He has a path to finish in the top 5 in the position. Really, I think.
And a Doug Peterson offense on this team.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes, I believe he's established rapport with the quarterback. he has trust the coaching staff. I really think that, he can. Well, okay, maybe
I don't believe
five.
the
I'll say top
you just
10.
had. The you just had just made all the conversation. I just stopped believing all the rest of the stuff you said. That was very unbelievable. If it was just kind of like, I'm in the argument, I kind of have to continue the point. The gave it all up. It was just like, you gave it up. He's the guy's just not going to be there. 15's appropriate. A lot of people want to place him in that top 10 just for the sake of being sexy, because it's like a sexy thing to say. Miles Sanders, top 10. Look, guys. Voila.
I like sexy.
I like sexy too, but I mean, this is Chris Thompson is some sexy if we want to talk sexy. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. All right, Chris, what's your thought on him?
You know what? I like Miles Sanders. I think he's very appropriately ranked. I have him at 12. Fantasy Pros has him right around there. I know our consensus has him at 11. Here we go. Fantasy Pros. Let's look at. I do everything in PPR. I know you ranked these in half.
Halfway. Yeah.
They have him in 11.
Excuse me. Your half and regular are very similar anyway. Yeah, so they have him at 11. I'm with.
They have him above Josh Jacobs.
Yeah, and I justified why I liked Josh Jacobs. Miles Sanders, though, I think he takes a step up. No Jordan Howard in his way. I think he does get, all the Jordan Howard running or rush attempts. I think those go to Miles Sanders more than they go to Boston Scott. I do think Scott is going to take a step up. If you have Miles Sanders, definitely get Boston Scott. He's a guy who he might, he could be a flex for you this year.
For sure. I think you can start them both.
Yeah, this could be it's completely different players, but this could be a Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt situation where you can play both guys.
Yeah, he's going to play that Sproles role.
Yeah.
They didn't bring back Sproles. At least I don't think they did.
I think he retired again.
Yeah, I think he retired. So yeah, that's crazy because Sproles did. I want to say he did see a decent amount of targets last year. So I've always been high on Boston Scott coming into the year. I was kind of sad when I believe he got drafted by the Cowboys when the Cowboys let him go. Yeah, I'm happy that he was able to latch onto a team, and it's a great spot for him because he's going to get a good amount of targets. He's going to be a piece in that offense for sure.
And to round out our consensus 12 here, we have Aaron Jones. And this is something that I don't think he should be anywhere near top 12. He is here because of who's
my fault.
Ranked at 9. I have Aaron Jones at 19. I am not a believer in the guy. I think we're going to see maybe less. Actually, let me sort of rephrase this a little bit. I think we're going to see as much Jamal Williams as we did last year, and then we also have AJ Dillon on top of that. AJ Dillon's going to be in there, and he's a bruiser. He's going to be getting that work inside the goal line. They spent a high draft pick on this guy. They're going to use him. He was what, a 3rd round pick? Is that right?
Yeah, AJ Dillon, he's more of a next year guy. I think they're going to give him some run. I think they're going to let him spell Aaron Jones a little bit. Aaron Jones is going to get a ton of work. Aaron Jones got a ton of work last year. He's going to get a ton of work this year. Yes, they're going to use Jamal Williams. Yes, they're going to use AJ Dillon. But the guy is number 4 in touchdowns last year, 15 in receptions among running backs, 15th amongst.
And it was a fluke year. He was efficient, and I think that efficiency goes down.
You know what? I'm not even an Aaron Jones guy. I really, really am not. But give me 19 touchdowns.
Yeah, that is not happening again.
Give me 19 touchdowns. Anytime a guy can put up 19 touchdowns, that means what? You're going to get, if you don't get 19, you're going to get what, 13?
That's my argument too.
Hot take. Aaron Jones has less than 12 total touchdowns this
12?
year.
You're going to think he's getting less than 12?
I'm going to take 12. Let's do 12 and a half is the line.
Oh, wow. No, I could definitely over on that.
All right.
I'm over on that too.
Make a note.
Yeah, that Chris is wrong.
Make that note.
We'll see. We will see. Before we wrap up, I gotta say, guys, I think it is an absolute disgrace where you two had Le'Veon Bell ranked. I have him at 11. You guys have him at 20 and 21. Ridiculous. That's way too low.
11?
11. Yeah.
How? Do you know who the coach is?
Do you know what the team
I do.
looks like?
And do you want to know why I have him so low?
Yes.
It's so low.
So nice.
So high?
so low in number. Yeah, so high. So high. Do you want to know why I have him so high?
Why do you have him so high?
Last year, he finished as the RB16 in 15 games. He was, if you look at where RB12 was and RB16 was, it's a difference of less than 18 points. Mixon could have easily gotten 18 points in that one game that he missed, which would have put him at an RB1. And that was in a down year, a year where he had 789 rushing yards and only, I believe, 3 rushing touchdowns. Is that what it was? That is going to go up. Le'Veon Bell is an amazing running back. Those stats are going to increase. He is going to finish higher than he did last year, where when he was bad, he was RB16, missing a game. When he's mediocre, which is what he might be with Adam Gase, he's going to be a top 12 running back.
Where do you have him ranked, Chris?
11.
That's high, man. I'll move him up in my rankings because I do think I am a little too low on him. But the guys I have above him, so I have Melvin Gordon, I have Todd Gurley, Kareem Hunt, who I think is going to do really well. Leonard Fournette,
He's underrated.
James Conner, yes, he is. So I mean, I just look at where I have him, and he just didn't do. I think he'll do better this year, but I don't know. He was like 30th in touchdowns last year, and touchdowns I don't think swings too much. I think they're going to put a guy on the goal line like they did last year, Frank Gore, and he's going to steal a good amount of touchdowns from him, and we're just going to be really frustrated. I think he's going to average about 13 points a game, which is okay, but it's not going to. It's going to help you win games, but I don't want him other than a flex. I don't want to start Le'Veon Bell as my number one. I will say that I will take that back because I'm probably going to have a ton of Le'Veon Bell in a lot of my leagues because I draft 0 RB very heavily, and he falls in that range that's lovely for me. That 5th round.
He's at the 308, man.
Oh, 308. That's too high for me.
Yeah, Bell is not going in the 5th. He's a 3rd round pick.
I'd much rather take James Conner and Chris Carson later, if that's the case, because
and it's not. No, ADPs have shifted, man. Connor's 303, Carson's 305,
on
Bell's
Sleeper?
308. I'm a fantasy football calculator. That's what I'm looking at.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Hey guys, I got a question for you about the running backs and specifically Connor, since we brought him up a few times. And with the COVID, I know the deadline to opt out is too late, but Connor is amazing for coming back from cancer, though that does affect the immune system.
He came out and said he never thought about it. And obviously he thought about it, but he never thought about opting out, is what I should say.
So he didn't opt out, but are you concerned about him moving forward?
I do not know enough about his situation to.
I mean, he beat cancer. I don't think it's something was in remission or anything. I think it's out of his system completely. And he has a ton to prove. This is his career on the line. A lot of these guys, this is such a terrible year. I feel bad, especially for the undrafted guys like Arian Foster, Robbie Anderson, that became undrafted guys, stepped on the field and had to prove that they're stellar guys. And a lot of these guys are just not going to have that opportunity unless the guy goes down in COVID. So you're going to see a lot of that. So definitely this is a year. Keep an eye on those practice squad guys. Pay attention to your beat writers. Listen to On Beat. That's a little sleeper wire show.
I will say this. If James Conner plays the full 16, he's a top 10 running back.
Yes.
I have him ranked at 15, Hoos at 14 or 16, and then Fallon at 24 is where I think I'm seeing it.
Yeah, no, I had him at 24. And my rationale is just my personal experience of knowing people who have completely recovered from cancer, yet still having a lower immune system and acknowledging that COVID's out there and seeing, what's going on in the baseball. We're going to see it happen in the football. And I just hope he takes care of himself. I think I wish him the very best. I wish him all. I mean, I'm just
all of these guys.
and proud of them.
Yeah,
all
I mean, we
these
don't
guys
want
for going
any
out
of them
there.
to get
But
COVID.
Right.
that's why that's just the justification for me having him so much lower is because of his immune system may not be as strong as others. Other than that, he would be higher.
Yeah, but how much do you know about immune systems related to COVID and the specific type of cancer that he had?
It's a weird year. No one knows.
Exactly. Like I baked no COVID concerns into any of my rankings. I just baked injury concern into Connors. If I knew he was playing all 16, I might have him closer to 5 than 10.
Right. I mean, because with COVID, I mean, obviously we can't tell with any of these guys. Anyone could get it. So that's definitely not baked into any of my rankings. But yeah, I would not be surprised at all if James Conner finishes top 12.
Yeah,
not at all.
I think 16 healthy James Conner games with Ben Roethlisberger would be better than Derrick Henry.
Man, I think he could be right there as far as productivity wise. I think
that's how good he was when he was healthy.
Right. I think he could be right there, which for me puts him right in that 7 to 8 range. Yeah.
The dude's got talent.
I just want to throw out there one last thing.
All right, last
just
thing.
Just a little love for David Johnson. I believe that David Johnson could easily turn into a top 10. He's got a great opportunity as long as he stays healthy.
I hope he does. I paid a lot for him in our Sleeper Wire League.
Well, and since I own him in our league too against you guys, but that's not why. I just want to show my love for
That's
DJ.
totally why.
All right, guys, I'm going to have to cut it off here. That's going to wrap it up for this episode. Fallon, thank you so much for joining me in this rankings consensus running back rankings episode, I should say. This was a lot of fun. Guys, we have 1 week left before the Pro-Am deadline, August 21st. That is the last day you can get into the Pro-Am if you haven't done so yet. $50 to get into the Pro-Am. You can also do $30 to get into a listener league or $75 to get into a Pro-Am and the listener league. But it's a guaranteed spot, not a raffle or anything like that. Sleeperwire.com/donate. Pick the level you want to donate at, and and then you're good. We'll get you on the list. Send a screenshot of the confirmation to sleeperwire@gmail.com, and we'll make sure to get you down. Follow us on Twitter at Sleeperwire Show. Hoos is on there at Sleeperwire Hoos, and Fallon's on there at FF_just_a_girl. Did I get that right?
You got it right this time.
And find Hoos and I on the Sleeper app at Prophet Hoos and Professor Chris, and check out patreon.com/sleeperwire. We have a bunch of cool tiers on there which give you different things, but first and foremost, free articles, 100% free. You do not have to pledge anything. Got a lot of articles going up every single week. A lot of good stuff on there. I just had one, the case for Lamar Jackson in the first round. I found that one to be pretty interesting. We got a bunch of them up there, so go check that out. You can get access to forums, Sleeperwire forums. You can get access to personal group me's with guys here at Sleeperwire, which is super cool. You can reach us at all hours of the day. Go straight to Hoos's phone, right? You can be in Hoos's pocket right next to that picture of Chris Thompson.
Oh, man, just vibrating right next to him, Chris Thompson. Oh, and don't forget, we are actually running a contest, guys. You can leave any tier. Get into any tier. That means you can put in $1. Put in $1 and that will get you into the contest. And we will do a raffle at 25, 50, 75, and 100. And once we get to 100, we're going to be giving a Godwin jersey. Yes.
Signed?
Yes. Signed. Yes, we're going to be giving one of those. And we're also going to be giving a Kenny Galladay signed jersey. And I don't know. We might throw in a helmet. I don't know. You guys got to sign up.
Am I eligible?
$5. Any tier, guys. If you put in $1, you will be entered. You got to stay in for the year, though, right? It's only $12 for the year if you put in $5, guys. Right?
The year or the season?
For for the year. It's why not support a good cause?
So we'll do this. The jersey comes next August.
No. Well, actually, yeah. There's no way for us to know. So we might have some nail down some kinks, guys. But hey, just make sure you're in the Patreon. You'll be getting the free articles. You'll be entered. You can win a nice free hat. You can't see the one I'm wearing, but you can win a hat. You can win a T-shirt. You can win a mug that Fallon didn't get yet. You can win all these cool stuff. So go ahead and make sure you're a patron. You only have to pay $1. You're gonna get the articles. You're gonna get all the cool stuff, guys. Just go ahead, do it. Do something cool for yourself.
Thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll catch you next time.